Good late Tuesday, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center taking a look at that current Doppler radar across North Florida and South Georgia, kind of telling a little bit of a temperature contrast story here at this moment. You see toward North Central Florida, 70 degrees. The reading around Keystone, I know where I'm at right now, 65 degrees. So a little bit cooler, depending on what type of neighborhood you're in terms of just how cool you can kind of get there with the ground, maybe less concrete around like where I'm at. But you see up in toward South Georgia, 59 toward Dougherty County and Albany, 59 toward Valdosta. So just kind of giving you guys an idea of what's going on here in terms of those readings around. Just kind of intriguing to see how things are developing here. You see, I mean, down toward Central Florida, they're still at 81 toward areas around Titusville. I know they had that launch there this morning. The view here was there from North Central Florida looking down toward that area. It's kind of intriguing as you can kind of see some of that stuff here even from our area. But as we go ahead and kind of just look around here some more, you see not too much going on right now, but that's going to kind of change here as we look ahead toward the nation. There's no warnings right now in the country. There is a coastal flood advisory for parts of Putnam County, our area, seeing some of those coastal concerns there as we're looking, talking about more toward the St. Johns River, the Banks Really, that type of area versus the actual coast, true coast itself. But you kind of get the idea. Just some minor flooding, so nothing that's overwhelming. But I know we're going to go ahead and kind of look now at some of those traffic cameras across the region. You can kind of see what's going on here. Let's start off with the Jacksonville view, I-95 at Hendricks Avenue. You can kind of see here that things look pretty calm out there right now toward Duval County. So kind of giving you that view. We'll take you over toward St. Johns County now. Go down the coast here just a little bit, and you'll be able to see International Golf Parkway, that viewpoint here. Things looking pretty calm out there as well here along the First Coast, in the First Coast region. As we get over toward Gainesville now in Alachua County, taking it more toward North Central Florida, you'll kind of see that things again look pretty nice out there. Could have a little bit of rain coming in the picture tomorrow. We'll keep our eyes on that. Chance isn't overwhelming, but some of our higher res models picking up on that potential. And then as we get toward Lake City, that area actually kind of is looking more here toward a tree area. You can kind of see, again, I mean, the storyline is looking pretty good. And then toward FSU Tallahassee, we get right there on the edge of campus, and you'll kind of see what's going on. And this is actually from earlier, the nice conditions there. It looks like the camera must have went down, but you can kind of see, I mean, even this daytime view kind of tells a story here, how things were looking earlier on in the timeline, that we're not dealing with too much in the way of that pesky cloud cover here at times, but just have to keep our eyes on that. I know we have to watch out for that fog potential here as well. So we're watching that toward North Central Florida tomorrow morning. Just be careful out there if you're having to go out pretty early, because that can be an issue. It has led to some traffic crashes here in recent days, recent mornings here. So I just have to be really careful and just use that extra caution, take it slow out there across the viewing circle. So let's go ahead now and see what else we have in store for you. I know it's been unseasonably warm here. I know we're at 65 right now, but we got to 87 here east of start today. Yesterday, 88 degrees. The day before, 80. So definitely warm here. Late October, early November to Halloween weather really hasn't been really in store for us. It's been really warm. I mean, going back last month there at points in October, we had 30s there, closer toward that freezing mark. Pretty incredible here as we look at some of those different days. I mean, that really does tell the story. I mean, I'll kind of go through it real quick here. It might take a second, but 59 this morning, 66 yesterday morning, 64, 65 as they go between the morning lows the last several mornings. 67 as we get back to work last Friday, 57 last Thursday, 57 last Wednesday, but 48 last Tuesday, 50 last Monday, 44 to Sunday before there, and then 38, 35, 34, 39. So you kind of get that stretch. I mean, get an idea of exactly what's going on in terms of some of those readings here. Just kind of breaking that down for you here on this Tuesday in the Weather Center. But right now, I also want to talk about, I know we had the stream going ultimately on all the different platforms for that threat that evolved around Mobile there back on Saturday. Had quite a few tornado debris signatures. Not saying these were overwhelmingly strong tornadoes, but we had some that did cause damage. Mobile home, no report of some of those being destroyed, even had some injuries as well. So just always have to be careful in this type of scenario. But I know we're going to be watching that kind of as a 5% slight type risk, but it really escalated in that local area there in southeastern parts of Mississippi and southwestern Alabama. And I know looking ahead toward that threat later in the week toward Fridays where I'm really watching things toward Texas. We may have to turn the logo red for that. Not quite enough confidence in the forecast at this point to do so. We'll keep our eyes on that here as we do look ahead. Of course, one thing we did have the logo red for. The last thing we had our logo red for was historic Hurricane Ian, and I just want to keep updating you on that increasing death toll here as it gets confirmed there by FDLE. 130 now fatalities reported in the state of Florida from Ian directly from the storm. So that number, just as the causes of death there, get verified in relation to the storm and different hazards that occurred with it, like storm surge and maybe drowning from that storm surge. That's one of the real predominant causes of death here from Ian. It seems like at this point in the state of Florida, it's so tragic there toward, especially in Lee County, Florida. But as we go ahead now and look toward the tropical climatology, we are on that downward slope. And we've talked about storms like Kate here in 85 that were impacting the state of Florida in November, but they're pretty few and far between. You see the chances of storms in the basin going down, but we have a little bit of an anomaly right now going on as we have two active systems, both expected to become hurricanes here in the form of Lisa and Martin. Could be hurricanes at the same time. That didn't happen too often here in November, but they're not a threat to the U.S. here whatsoever. That's great news in terms of direct impact, maybe some shipping lane impacts. I know the Hurricane Center was saying from Martin there as it moves on up in the Atlantic. You see that there, and then you see Lisa. That's going to be headed towards Central America. Now this one right here, 20% chance. Kind of an idea that we need to watch it here based on some of the model guidance here because there's some indications that things could get a little bit odd next week here. Maybe some type of coastal storm, maybe not tropical, maybe multiple little systems trying to evolve here, or one bigger system. It's really complicated at this point, but something to watch because some of the guidance has been pushing something toward Florida next week here, at least in terms of some type of coastal impact, some wind and some rain here. So we're going to be watching that for you carefully. I know next Tuesday is election day, so that's something to bear in mind here. You may just want to go ahead and take advantage there of early voting there, just to be on the safe side. It may end up being that we don't have the rain coming in. As I go back, I'll go back to this real quick here. Until about next Wednesday or so. I mean, in terms of the heavier type of rain, that's what some guidance is showing here. But we'll keep our eyes on it here for you in the Weather Center as we get now toward the National Severe Weather Picture, your day 3 and day 4 outlooks. You see here toward Kansas, toward Oklahoma, toward the panhandle of Texas here. You can kind of see what's going on. A slight risk here of some severe weather is in play there as we get toward that Thursday. Nothing that looks overwhelming maybe on Thursday. Now on Friday that could be a different story though. Maybe have to turn our logo red for Friday. I'll go ahead and kind of step on over now and say that's concerned because it's a pretty long slight risk all the way here. The Texas-Mexico border extending through Texas areas like San Antonio, Austin, Waco, Dallas. I mean all the way out to Abilene here. Looking in towards some of these different communities, many of them here in the Lone Star State. I mean, you saw Wichita Falls, you see Norman, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, as well, even up toward Wichita, Kansas, and all types of severe weather will be possible, especially on Friday and later Friday, maybe Friday night, even as we get closer toward the Houston area. We'll have to watch to see how this kind of holds together as it gets closer toward the coast. But definitely more concerned about Friday's threat, but just stay tuned for updates, further updates. Uncertainty remains. If we can determine the logo red, of course, we'll do that here. That would indicate an elevated chance maybe for stronger tornadoes. We didn't do that back on Saturday. That strong tornado threat here, you have 2+, wasn't necessarily really there, but it could be there, especially on Friday. We need you to pay attention because you maybe want to do something else on that Friday night in early November, as I know this right here is indicative, though, of something that you really need to pay attention to if you have friends and family out there, if you're happen to be watching from out there. You just want to be monitoring the situation here. Again, North Texas and area, Central Texas, I mean, all the way into the state of Oklahoma. Just got to watch. If there's a tornado watch this, you don't remember, you just want to target those devices in case of power loss. Have multiple ways to receive alerts. And if a tornado warning gets issued, that means a tornado's been detected using radar or spotted. You want to seek shelter inside that sturdy building there. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible and protect yourself there from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet. So that's just important information to pass along. As you see the rainfall forecast, you see more precipitation adding up. You see northeast Oklahoma there around Tulsa. Getting quite a bit of that rain here, 3+ inches. We could even have a pattern shift as we look ahead toward next week, as some of the models are showing maybe some snow coming in to the picture here as we get over toward the central U.S. here, the south central U.S. We'll just wait and see. It's way too early to kind of get into that potential, but just a pretty strong system here this week we have to focus on first. Of course, you can get an interactive radar here to get the latest updates on exactly what's going on. There's cloudweather.com/radar that tells you that story. And then you can see here, looking toward North Florida and South Georgia, the rain amounts here don't look all that impressive, with the exception of right at the coast. You kind of see here things adding up to some extent, closer to about a ½ inch, but some spots could get more than that. I mean, we saw a couple of days last week, some spots getting quite a bit of rain, while most spots not really getting any rain or a very little rain in total. So just kind of intriguing to see as we see the covered area. I know you see all of our counties in Florida, Georgia, we're always on for any tornado warning storm to move through and impact one of these 62 counties. We've done it here for the last 3 years, not saying we have any type of that threat here in the short term, but we'll be watching to see if anything evolves on us. Again, nothing that shows a type of threat like this right now. I mean, if we were to have something tropical in nature next week, then that could change a little bit here. But I just really want to make sure you guys are paying attention here whenever there's a tornado warning storm impacting one of our 62 or multiple of our 62 counties. We're on Facebook there at Clouds Weather and at KC Cloud WX. And we changed some of these handles here recently, so just want to make sure I get these right. I got to make sure I don't go over some of the older ones. But we have Twitter there at Cloud KC. That's still the same. And you have the automated account there at Cloud_WX. In fact, I'll go ahead and pull it up. We have it in our system. I can go ahead and pop it up right here on the screen in front of me. You can see here YouTube. This is just easier so you can write it down at home. I know we have YouTube there at Clouds Weather. That's something that's changed. Twitch is now Clouds Weather as well. And then the website has all these links there, cloudweather.com. So just wanted to break this down for you real quick here with that graphical form. And then as we're looking at our Georgia counties, it's something to just kind of remind us of. I know that big storyline there in the state of Georgia on Friday. Former University of Georgia football coach Vince Dooley passing away. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family there for sure. Winning that national title back there in 1980 for the University of Georgia as their head coach, longtime head coach there in Athens. But we'll now go ahead and look ahead now in our show as we go ahead and see that extended forecast. Now I know tomorrow here 30% chance of rain, on Thursday 20% chance of rain. So following on off just a little bit here as we get there, and into toward Friday looks to be the least a chance here for rain. If you have a pick day in terms of the rain chances being the lowest, Friday's your day. So high school football looking pretty good in that regard. And then you see here temperatures kind of fluctuating around above average, though, for sure. Those lows to some extent, but those highs, I mean, I'll show you these here real quick, your average highs in the mid-70s here. So that's something, because we're not going to be at really near that, it doesn't look like, for the next 7 days. Something else to remind you guys of, you want to move those clocks back 1 hour here as we get towards Saturday night and toward that Sunday. And then we have Election Day here on Tuesday. And then we could have something along the coast. It could be more on the Wednesday here. That's when the rain chance is only 30% right now. If we had a forecast 8-9 days, that I'd have more like 50% chances as we get further on out in toward the timeline. I see, by the way, the new advisory on Tropical Storm Martin is coming out from the National Hurricane Center, which you can get there at nhc.noaa.gov. So just wanted to pass that along. Not a threat to the U.S., neither is Lisa. So that's some good news here. But we're just going to keep our eyes on things with the overall storylines that are in play. See if there's anything else we need to watch from the tropics, as we've alluded to. But right now, not too much going on here locally. We have the radar on, and there's just nothing to be found here on the Doppler. So that's some good news. If you're not looking for the rain, granted, we are starting to have drought conditions. That could be a factor that starting to take hold, especially toward our western areas. As we look here at our notes, just to see if there's anything else we need to talk about. And now, just kind of seeing some of the different storylines that have been in play here. That hot weather we were talking about, I mean, for this time of year is still going to be sticking around. You did see there were some cooling showers earlier as we go over the last 12 hours on radar. Some areas here closer to where Lake Okeechobee there, about 2.5 inches of rain falling there. So kind of intriguing to see that right now. The current view, not showing too much there. However, as we do go to the radar, it is worth noting we have a storm here impacting some of these areas that were impacted there by Hurricane Ian about a month ago. So they don't need the rain there, obviously, because of the recovery efforts that are still ongoing. It looks like about the only area we've seen any type of rain here over the last few moments in the state of Florida that's amounted to too much. So not a very lucky area in terms of where they're getting that storminess right now. They're closer toward Cape Coral. They're in areas here of southwest Florida. I mean, I know the worst hit area is more toward Captiva, Fort Myers Beach, but still these areas have those blue tarps on the roofs, so I just got to be careful there. But just continue to watch some of these different hurricane systems out there that are expected to become Hurricane Lisa, Hurricane Martin. Right now, Tropical Storm Lisa, Tropical Storm Martin. But I know they're saying here in the chat that Martin expected to strengthen here during the next day or so. Lisa there expected to become a hurricane before it hits Central America. We'll say that to you real quick here before I wrap this up. I just want to kind of get on down here and see our tracks, because you see our model guidance and you see our storm system there as it's expected to track over from the west here toward, or from the east, excuse me, toward the west here. So just gonna keep watching all of this as we get here towards some of these areas in parts of Central America. So just have to keep an eye on that system for them. That's gonna be making landfall closer toward that early Thursday timeline. Well, at least it'll be doing that there. So something to keep our eyes on down there. Maybe a Cat 1 at landfall. We'll wait and see. But that pretty much does it here. Forward is Tuesday. We'll be back on Thursday. That full update. Of course, we'll be watching the stuff, though, as well out toward Texas, out toward some of those neighboring states. And then on Friday, that coverage and that threat may escalate, it looks like. We'll be keeping an eye on all of that here for you in the Weather Center and monitoring that potential for you, maybe for a more enhanced type of severe risk to take hold toward parts of Texas, Oklahoma there on that Friday. So we'll be monitoring it all for you. But right for now, have a great night. Enjoy things. I mean, they're unseasonably warm. If you like the warmer weather, these are the conditions for you.